The cabin's secret. The cabin stood isolated, nestled deep within the dense forest, miles away from the nearest town. It was the perfect retreat for Alex and Jordan, who had decided to spend a weekend away from the city's chaos. The air was crisp, the sky clear, and the silence of the woods was comforting. Little did they know, their peaceful getaway was about to turn into a nightmare. On the first night, while unpacking, Alex stumbled upon an old, dusty diary hidden under a loose floorboard. The leather cover was cracked, and the pages yellowed with age. Curiosity piqued, Alex opened it and began to read. The diary belonged to a woman named Eliza, who had lived in the cabin over a century ago. Her entry spoke of a happy life at first, but quickly turned dark. She wrote about hearing strange noises at night and feeling a presence watching her. One entry, dated November 13th, 1895, was particularly chilling. The shadows grow longer each night, and the whispers become clearer. I fear I am not alone. As Alex read aloud, the wind outside picked up, howling through the trees. Jordan laughed nervously, dismissing it as a coincidence. But as the night wore on, they both started to hear faint noises, footsteps creaking on the wooden floorboards, and whispers that seemed to come from the walls. The next day, the tension grew. They found odd symbols carved into the trees surrounding the cabin, symbols that weren't there before. Alex, now obsessed with the diary, continued to read. Eliza's later entries revealed that she had been tormented by a malevolent spirit that had driven her to madness. Her final entry was smeared with blood. I cannot escape. It wants me to stay forever. That night, the paranormal activity escalated. Objects moved on their own, doors slammed shut, and the temperature plummeted. Jordan, skeptical until now, could no longer deny the presence of something sinister. They decided to leave, but every attempt to start their car failed. The engine refused to turn over, and their phones had no signal. Desperation set in as they realized they were trapped. They barricaded themselves in the living room, clutching flashlights and kitchen knives for protection. The cabin groaned and creaked as if it were alive, and the shadows danced menacingly on the walls. In the dead of night, the spirit made its presence fully known. A cold wind swept through the cabin, extinguishing their candles. The room plunged into darkness, and the whispers turned into guttural growls. Alex and Jordan huddled together, fear gripping their hearts. Suddenly, Jordan was yanked into the darkness by an unseen force. Alex screamed, trying to hold on to his friend, but it was futile. Jordan disappeared, and the silence that followed was deafening. Alex, trembling, picked up the diary, hoping to find some clue on how to survive. He found a passage he had overlooked. The spirit feeds on fear. It can be appeased, but only with a sacrifice. Realizing the grim implication, Alex knew what he had to do. He had to confront the spirit and offer himself to save Jordan. With trembling hands, Alex lit a match and held it up to the darkness. "Eliza," he called out, "I understand your pain. Take me and let Jordan go." The room grew colder, and a figure emerged from the shadows. It was a woman, her face twisted with sorrow and rage. Alex closed his eyes, bracing for the end, but instead of attacking, the spirit seemed to consider his offer. The ghostly figure of Eliza hovered before Alex, her translucent form flickering like a candle in the wind. "You would sacrifice yourself for him," she whispered, her voice echoing with centuries of despair. "Yes," Alex replied, his voice shaking but resolute. "Just let him go." Eliza's expression softened, and for a moment, the cabin fell silent. Then, with a wave of her hand, she released Jordan, who reappeared beside Alex, gasping for breath. The spirit turned to Alex, her eyes filled with an unfathomable sadness. "Thank you," she murmured before dissolving into the air, leaving behind an icy chill. The haunting presence lifted, and the oppressive atmosphere of the cabin dissipated. Alex and Jordan, exhausted and traumatized, stumbled out into the dawn light. Their car, miraculously, started on the first try, and they sped away from the cursed cabin without looking back. Weeks later, back in the safety of their apartment, Alex received a package with no return address. Inside was Eliza's diary, restored to pristine condition. A note slipped inside the cover read, "Her spirit is at peace. Thank you." But as Alex turned the pages, he found one final entry in Eliza's handwriting: "The darkness never truly leaves. It merely waits for another soul to claim. With a shiver, Alex closed the diary, hoping it was the last they would ever see of the cabin's dark secret. But deep down, he knew some stories never end, they only wait to begin again.